Good morning. Happy snow day, quote unquote. I know we're planning on going out making some snowmen later on today, so that'll be fun. Get out and get some fresh air. I did want to start by saying that all these videos, all these recordings are recorded and stored. So if you want to look at any of these later on, if you missed one, or if you have a friend or another teacher who wants to go view any of these topics, feel free to have them go back. They're all listed. I've now put it on the website. So if you go to the website, right there's a show notes, and it basically lists each topic and the link to that video. So you're welcome to use those, share those. All the resources that we will use in that, all the links that we share will all be there as well. And somebody asked me also about attendance. So if you are in RSU 19, if you would please go to that rsu19.info site, you can click attendance right there and just click yes, I'm here. Because these are recorded, that you can go back and watch any of the older ones, but they're also, the attendance is for if you're here live. Now, absolutely understandable that some people have other meetings going on at the same time. We've talked about possibly moving this time frame instead of 10 o'clock midday, but maybe moving it later, so it wouldn't interfere with other class times. But we wouldn't do that this week. If that came up, we'd probably do it next week starting. But I will absolutely let you guys all know. So let's go to the questions here. And so I'm going to start with the questions from the audience from yesterday or this last couple of days. One question was, how do I post the Google Meets in Classroom as well as sending them the email alert? So the easiest way to do that, if you have scheduled created a Google Meet, is if you go to Google Calendar first. So let's go through that process. I'm going to do a quick screen share here. Okay, so I'm in my account, my quote-unquote dummy account we mentioned before. That is, we're going to use for as if you're a person that's not already done this before. Let me jump here. Okay, so if I want to create a new Google Meet for my students, the first thing I'm going to do is click on the little gear up here in the upper right and go to Calendar. Calendar is where I want to start. That's the best place to get going. And yes, you can do a direct Google Meet, but for this situation, make sure you are the host and make sure you can mute people if needed be, or whatever you need to do. That's the way to do that. So if I want to do a Hangout for tomorrow, I'm going to click on the day. I'm going to say we are going to have a meeting about language arts, ELA, we'll say. I want to add a time, so we'll say it's going to be at 11 o'clock. We'll do it after our PD meeting. So 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Right here, I'm going to add time. So if I add time, it will pop that into actual time. Adding guests. So I can add an individual person if I want to. So I'll add myself, like one person, but also show you I can add multiple people. Let me scroll down here. When I did that, it changed that for the Google Hangouts Meet right here. So it gives you that information as far as being able to have them click that link. Now, they will receive an email just like they would for a normal invite, for a normal calendar invite. If you want to, I could also copy this link right here, and I could paste that into Classroom. So if I want to make sure they're in Classroom, they have the link, I could click on that, and that would pop up. The other thing too, if you want to do a live stream, again, if you turn that on and you want to live stream it at the same time, no problem. If you don't want to, if you want to turn that back off, that's one question that came up. I can click this little X right here, and that will remove the live stream as well. The other thing too is if I save this, let me save this. So here's I'm going to send an invite to that person. So here it is. I'm going to click on it again, and I'm going to edit it. So I'm going to click this little pencil here to edit it. So some more details here. One, in the Meet here, if I want them to get a notification, if I want to add a whole group. So let's say I want to add my classroom. I might make a group of my classroom's email addresses, and I could put that in there, and they would all come at once. So that entire group would come in once. Do I want them to allow them to invite others? Probably not. So I'm going to uncheck that, and I'm going to uncheck the guest list. So especially with students, you're inviting them, they'll join, but they won't see who else is in, and they also won't have the ability to invite other people. When they see this, you'll notice here it says, oh, if once the other person says, yes, I will attend, or maybe I will attend, this will pop up, and you'll be able to, you'll see how many people have said yes and how many people said maybe or no. One other thing that's interesting, we didn't really cover this yesterday when we talked about Google Meet, find a time. So the benefit of that, now again, this is not going to be useful for an entire classroom because it'll be too complicated. But if you had you and one other person, one other teacher say, we want to find a time we could schedule a meeting time, this will scan through your calendar, your Google Calendar, and their Google Calendar, and it will show you times that are blocked out. Notice here that some of this is gray right here. So sometimes that are blocked out and sometimes that are available, and give you recommended times. So, hey, you're both free at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Do you want to do that meeting then? And that's handy. Now, the only drawback of that is if somebody doesn't put in all the stuff they need to for that Google Meet, if they haven't put it all in, it won't be there. So that's one thing that's a factor. One final thing here, if you do want to repeat, so let's say I want to do Monday through Thursday or weekdays or whatever it is, I can click up here and repeat, and I can say every weekday, Monday to Friday. So right now this would appear Monday through Friday from noon or from 11 to 12 every day would be this meet. So depending on what your needs are, I'm going to actually not repeat this one. Click save, and here it is. But that Google Hangout right here, I would copy that link right there and paste it into my Google Classroom, and that way the students could just click on it and join. They also will have the email too. One thing that's probably going to start happening is my guess is, let me stop screen here. Happening is students will start probably being responsible for checking their email more often. We haven't really worried about email specifically because we've managed everything through Classroom and managed everything through the physical meeting of students. So again, depending on your grade level, depending on your the ability of the students, we start thinking about what's the expectation. Well, just like you and I probably check our email in the morning when we wake up, that's probably one of the first things we do, and all the lists there. Students will at some point start to be able to do that. Again, Google Classroom is a great place to have it all in one place, so all the different teachers, all the different content areas and topics will all be in Classroom. Not in your class, but in the overall classroom dashboard that has all the stuff listed right there. So that's also a beneficial place for parents as well. So somebody asked, what's the difference between a Meet and a live stream? So start with this. Google Hangouts and Google Meets are basically the same thing. They kind of use interchangeably. Where that started was Google Hangouts was the free version, Google Meet was the paid version, and now Meet has been allowed free. So basically they're all the same thing. The difference between a Meet or a Hangout and a live stream means you are streaming it live. So one of the terminologies we should kind of cover here is synchronous versus asynchronous learning. Synchronous is what we're doing right now. We are both on our computers right now at the same time. I'm at my house talking to you, you're at your house listening, and again, you could make a chat or you could synchronously at the same time connect with each other, and I could have somebody join and so forth. Asynchronous is not at the same time. So anyone that will watch this video later on, let's say tomorrow or tonight or whenever it is, they're watching it, they're not watching it live, it's asynchronous. It's really the idea that the easiest way to think of it is radio. If you're listening to your radio in your car and it's just playing right then, it's live, it's streaming, versus a podcast, which a podcast is recorded, maybe it's on your phone, you listen to it anytime you want. So it's kind of a recording versus live. So that asynchronous versus synchronous learning is really going to be important going forward. What's the expectation? Do students have to be on at a certain time, or can they watch that video later on? Built into Google Meets, I think I mentioned before, there is the ability to record. So everything that you do, I can click record. In fact, we're recording the stream right now. So anybody that doesn't make it right now because they're in another meeting or for whatever reason, maybe they're out shoveling right now, they're able to watch us later on. And so that's kind of the beneficial of doing live and recorded at the same time. I just want to jump back to look at some of the other questions here. Okay, so this is a good question. There was a Google Hangout that a teacher set up, and then after the Hangout, the teacher removed themselves, but the Hangout was still running. Okay, so it was basically running on its own. So if you had students join, this is why it's important, especially with students, that you start your Hangout through Google Calendar. Because the reason why is if you start it through Google Calendar, you are the host, and you can do things like you can mute the students, remove students or individuals that are joined, kick them out if you need to. You also, when you leave that session, it shuts it down. So that's different than me just inviting you directly to a Hangout. If I just direct you to a Hangout, just one-to-one, hey, would you join me? We're all on both at the same time. I can't mute you or control, or if I need to leave, you can still be in there. So I wouldn't use that for students. I wouldn't have students join a Hangout just kind of set up. I would use it through Calendar, and that way you are the host. Now, another question that came up yesterday about that, if you are the host as a teacher, you can't have two hosts. You can't have two teachers be the host. The other teacher would join as a participant, but they wouldn't be able to mute or control. Now, if it's a situation where you want one teacher to do the talking and the other teacher to man look at the chat and that kind of stuff, whichever one you want to be able to mute students or add them or remove them or whatever, have them be the host of that Hangout. One other question that came up a lot is, wrong one. When the teacher creates a Hangout, should it end when he clicks the telephone on the bottom of the screen? The answer is yes. So at the bottom, when you move your cursor, you see there's a little microphone. There's a little, looks like a hanging up, handset. The old days, we used to have actual physical handsets. This is the only thing that students think of as a phone. They don't use that symbol. Of course, they use, the actual old-fashioned handset icon. And then you have the video camera there too. Another note, I mentioned this yesterday, but if you have students joining and their video is not good and it's really laggy and maybe their connection at home isn't that great, they can turn off the video camera and still hear it. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that makes the connection be good enough so they're not going to lose something, depending on what what they need to do. All right, this looks good. Okay, so we're going to jump to today's topic. Again, I'm going to do another screen share. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is it's a little bit. It's going to be I kind of geared for the younger grades per se, but it will be helpful for everybody. The reason why is if you are using Google Hangouts, that's fantastic to be able to connect with students. And if you're using Classroom, as we mentioned, it makes sense too, almost as a representation of your physical classroom. That's kind of how that works. That's all great. If you have younger students, if you have K through 4 students, they're not really going to sign into Classroom. It doesn't make sense for a second grader to have to be able to sign into Google Classroom to join your class. That's just not going to work. And so really what we need to have is resources for parents to work with their students, right? So if a parent needs to be able to see, what do I need to do? Give me some resources, maybe a video I should watch with my kids, or here's a link to downloadable books I can read with them, or whatever that is. And so for that situation, I'm going to walk through the steps of creating very, very simple homepage for a teacher. So a teacher can have a simple homepage that they can just update and add things to and take things away for their 20 or so students, for their classroom. And this is really a read-only. What I mean by that is teachers would post things. They would add pictures or text or maybe links to videos, whatever it is, and the parents would see that, but they wouldn't have to be expected to interact back and forth through that. Google Classroom, at about, in my opinion, 5th grade on, makes sense for them to update and be able to kind of have that interaction. But younger kids, it's going to be harder to do that. Now, if you as a teacher want to set up a live stream just to broadcast out to your class and have parents join that way, we can cover that. It's very similar to what we talked about before as far as Google Hangouts go. The only difference would be, I think, in that situation, your parents would have to sign in with their child's account for them to be able to see you and do it that way. So that's an option. For our very simple homepages, or teacher homepages we're going to do 2 versions. And one's a little more complicated. And so that's the trade-off. So one is very simple. You only have a few options, but it works. One's a little bit more complicated. You have more options, but of course, it's more complicated. So it's really going to depend on whichever one you feel more comfortable working in. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a simple Google slide, but we're going to make it as if it is our homepage, our teacher homepage. So I'm going to start back on my kind of dummy account here. I'm going to click up on the waffle up the upper right, go to Drive. Okay, so in my Google Drive, go to New and Slides. So the reason why we're going to use a slide as a homepage is because it's already web-based. It's very simple to drag and drop. You can add pictures, you can link to videos, all these kind of things that we want to do. It's pretty straightforward to do. So this themes thing up here, I'm going to exit that out on the upper right. And again, we want to make it as simple as we can. And what I mean by that is we don't want to have a lot of, we're going to have a lot of cool things on there, but we want to make it as simplistic. These boxes in here, as I mentioned, I think I showed this the other day. So it's kind of a pain. If I hit delete here or backspace, it tries to delete the text inside of it. I'm actually going to click away from these boxes and drag up to select both of them at once. And when I do that, I can hit delete. and now that's gone. Okay, so here's my template. The other thing we're going to do is if you want to use it kind of like a blog. Now, what I mean by that is I'm not really blogging here, but if you want to have a chronological order to it, you could just keep adding slides. So let's say this is this week's assignments or this week's information. I could just add a new slide on top of it, and that would kind of push it down. So parents can always go back and see, previous editions, previous pages on your web page here. I'm going to go to background right here in the middle and change the color. And I'm going to just do a nice gradient here, and we'll do this one right here that kind of looks like done, and kind of looks like that. So it gives me a little bit of texture. That looks kind of cool. All right, good place to start. Now, I'm going to add my text at the top here. I'm going to add my Mr. Kelly's class, right? And so I'm going to click on the text box, go across the top, put in Mr. Kelly's class. So I'm going to center this. When I have this text box, again, I mentioned it's a little bit different if I'm outside of it and if I select the entire text box at once, or if I click inside of it. The other thing you'll notice, and you might have seen this jump back and forth, if I click off that box or on, this toolbar across the top changes. It's context sensitive. That means it knows if I'm clicked on a box or if I haven't. So if I click on this box here, I can use this pull down. I can center this, and I can align it. I can move it to the center here. So this makes it so it's kind of in the center. You also know as I start moving these around, these little red lines will appear. These are guidelines. So these show me, oh yes, I'm actually in the center of this page here. So I'm going to actually extend this so it will go from one side all the way to the other. And so when I say center, I now know that it's actually truly in the center. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. Next up, so I've got my class here. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. So I've got my text. I'm just going to click on the font right here. By default, it's Arial. Cool. Let's make this a nice, I don't know, Merriweather. That looks cool. So click on that one. And I'm going to also make it a lot bigger. So I'm going to change the size here up to, say, 60. That's pretty big. Maybe it's a little bit too big. Let's go to 48. That looks good. Another thing that you may have not known is, so these options here that come down with the font size, 30, 36, 48, if I really want it to be 55, I don't see 55 here, but I can type in this box here and type in any number I want, pretty much. It goes from 4 up to 400. So as long as between those, it will change to that font size in the middle there. Cool. We'll bold that. That looks nice. Again, if I want to change the color, let's say I got black here. I can click on this. We'll make this a nice blue. Mr. Kelly's class. That looks great. All right, we have our text box. That was this T inside this little box here. And now I'm going to put up my message here. So I'm going to say, hi, class. Whoops. This week's work is ... and I would put whatever I wanted to put in here for text. Let's just copy that, and we'll paste that in a few times. We have something to work with. All right, so now I've got some text, and I can keep reusing this box if I want to, just to kind of keep coming in here and overwriting it and typing things in there. Awesome. Let's say I want to add one kind of a little bit of flair. I'm going to add a box here that's like a weekly link, like, hey, a cool new resource I found. Again, I could just add a text box, and that will work. We'll add a link to Khan Academy, for example. Okay, so I'm going to link to this page here, and this is what you have as resources for your teachers, for your parents. So I can just copy and paste the link here in text, but let's do it a little bit a cooler way here. If I click on this icon right here, the shape icon, so I can come in here, and there's different shapes. Let's say I do a heart, or I'll just do a little kind of oval here. Actually, you know what? We'll do a button. One of the shapes is a button. We'll do that one. So here's my button here. Okay, and I just dragged it over. Again, I can change the background color if I want. So up here, this is the border color for the borders of the lines. Also, this little paint bucket here, if I want that to be, we want that to be a green button here. So there's my green button. That looks cool. And if you double click in that, I now can type text. So resource link of the week. Okay, so I'm going to make this be a clickable link for my parents. Now, the first thing, again, all these same links up here apply. So if I want to center it, all that same kind of stuff applies as it did for the text box. I can also make it a little bit bigger. Let's do 18. That looks cool. And I'll choose a different cool font. That looks great. Okay, so resource link of the week. So I want this box to be a clickable link. I'm going to click on this once. I'm going to go up here to the link, insert link icon right up here on the toolbar. Click on that. I'm going to paste in, oops, I didn't copy it. Let me go copy that link up here for, in this case, I just use Khan Academy. So I did Khan Academy, click apply. And now when we publish this and a parent clicks on that button there, it will go to that other, it actually pops up a little link there they can click on and go to that resource. And again, this could be anything. This might be a cool link. This might be, maybe if you get a little adventurous, you want to have a quiz. You want to say, hey, what's your favorite lunch so far been this week from school? And you have like 5 options, and this would go to a Google form or something where parents could click on or kids could click on. A way to kind of engage that way. If I want to insert an image, okay, so I want to insert an image. If I have an image I can go search for, you can drag it in, and that works. But I find it's actually easier to come up here to the insert image icon, or I can click insert image right here. So here are my choices. I can upload from a computer, which I can certainly do that. I can also search the web right here. So let's click search the web. Just so you know, if I'm going to search for, let's say today's a snowman, so today's a snow day, so let's do snowman. These images are already filtered by copyright free. And again, I'm not too worried about that right now, but if you have one of these images you want, I can click in here. Let's do a real snowman. This guy looks kind of silly here. So I'm going to use this guy. I'm going to add, oh, this was the cute one. All right, I'm going to add this snowman right here to my images. So I just clicked on it. I searched for snowman, click insert. Here it is. I'm going to resize it a little bit. Okay, so there's my image. I can move it around. Again, you see these red lines will pop up. These are those guidelines. If I wanted to insert a text box underneath it, so send me a name for this snowman. So if you wanted your kids to kind of think of different names, maybe, and maybe send it to them again through the parents. This is kind of a fun way to do that. They can click on this stuff. Now, a couple things to note about images. One, if you have an image, right now you can see how he's kind of looking this way. If I wanted to flip it over, let's say I want him to face the other way. I mean, there's a couple different things I can do. One, when I click on the image itself, you notice these blue squares appear around the corners, and I can resize that, make it bigger and smaller that way. Also, if I drag this to the left as far as all the way to the other side, almost like flipping it over, it will actually flip that image over. So I don't know if you noticed that, but you see how I flipped it. I just kept dragging that across. Every once in a while, you'll see this red line go across diagonally. What that shows you is that is how big, this is the right proportions for how the image originally was. So this is, if I stretch it out beyond that, that means it's a little bit stretched out. So we don't want to do that. The other thing I can do here, if I double click on it, on the image, you'll notice these black bars appear around the edges. So these are crop lines. I can crop the image. I can make it a little bit smaller if I wanted to. I'm going to hit enter. And now it's just the same image. I just cropped it. It's almost like using scissors to crop around it. Another cool tool, if I click on it once here, so I have it selected, is what I like to call the cookie cutter tool. But if I click on this pull down up here, now it's not the crop tool and it's not the reset image tool. It's a little pull down between them. I can actually use shapes. And let's do this one as a little, let's see here. We'll do it as a little cloud here. If I click that cookie cutter shape, it will cut that out to be the shape of that cookie cutter piece. It crops it, but in a certain shape for that. So that's kind of handy. So there's my snowman in a cloud of snow there. That looks pretty cool. A couple other options I can do with images, and again, this is pretty much, that's functional stuff. Now we're getting a little bit more kind of the aesthetic type things. If I click on it once and go up to the top here to format options, so there's all kinds of different options here. I can size and rotate if I needed a certain size. I can position it. I can recolor it. Again, why would I want to do that? Well, maybe I want it to be a black and white snowman. Oops, that's an orange one. I don't want that. I can resize it or grayscale it in here, do all kinds of silly color things in there, kind of like a filter we talked about. I can also do a drop shadow. Now, a drop shadow might be useful if I want to basically make it look like it's almost like a what do they call it? Scrapbooking, where you're kind of laying a picture on top of something else, and I can see the actual shadow kind of hanging there. And finally, in adjustments, do you want it? Do you need to make it a little bit brighter or a little bit darker, or turn the contrast up? Again, you can adjust these things a little bit if you need to. Those were all under format options, and they popped up right here, and then they can X them out and they pop back. Cool. So that's great for an image, and I can drag this around. This works pretty much like a desktop publisher. And what I mean by that is I can just drag these around and float them on top of each other as I need. If I do need, let me make this picture a little bit bigger. And let's say I want to put this text. Oh, right now it is already on top of it. Let me put it behind it. All right, let's say I want to put this text on top of this picture, but if I look at it, it actually looks like it's behind the image. Okay, see here, like I can't see it because it's behind the picture. Well, what do I do? So the easiest way to do that is if you click on whatever it is. It could be an image, it could be this button right here, it could be text box. I'm going to, on a Chromebook, alt-click or right-click on a PC. So I'm going to alt-click or right-click on it. I'm going to go to Order and Send to Back. And so what that does is now I can put this text on top of, whoops, let me click on it again, on top of the snowman here. Send me a name for this snowman. That looks pretty good. That actually works pretty well. And as I showed you earlier, if I click down and hold and drag to select all these, I can now move all these pieces at once. So that's a great little handy thing. That worked out actually pretty well. I like that. Okay. Let's say we want to add a video. So we added an image, we added some text. If I insert video, there's a couple different options here. One, I can search in YouTube and I can find a video and add it that way. I can also search directly by the URL. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. And if I have recordings already done, I could add that in my Google Drive. So let's say, for example, you did a Hangout yesterday and you recorded it and you wanted to add that link to your web page, your homepage for tomorrow. You could just come into your Google Drive, click on it, select it. And this is actually the one from, I believe, either yesterday or maybe perhaps last week. Oops, did I select it? Let me try that again. Insert video, go to Drive, select. Nope, I didn't like that. So I'm going to show you how to do the video, the YouTube video. So I'm going to add a YouTube video down here I want somebody to watch. So let me go find one first. The one I'm going to use actually is from our broadcasting program where we have drone footage of the new school. So go to YouTube, find your video that you want. Let's get our channel up here. So here's a video. This is actually video from, let me turn the sound down. Video from when construction first started. It's actually way back when it was still a big field, which is kind of cool. All right, so I'm just going to copy this link up at the top. Copy the URL, copy that. Go back over to here. I'm going to insert video. If I go to by URL and paste it in there, that is the direct address that you just copied of that actual link of that YouTube video. I can select that. So there's my video, and I can just put that as a little thumbnail here, or put it pretty much anywhere. They can watch it right here. They can hit. Let me show you what it looks like for them if they see it here. So if this is what they're going to see from this end. So they'll see that website you put in there. Here's the. Oops, let me present again. Here's the video. They can play it right here. And so they're playing it and watching it. Or if they click the little square in the bottom here, so it's full screen, it'll just like it says, it will do full screen. I wouldn't worry about students not knowing how to do that. I'm pretty sure every child, as soon as they're born, knows how to play a YouTube video. I think that's kind of standard practice now. So they'll be able to help to try to make that full screen. But basically you can import videos right there, either recordings of yourself, or if you find a YouTube video that's worth sharing, you can put that right there. So here I've got quite a few things here. I've got links. I'm going to move this up a little bit because one thing I noticed when I hit present is down here, this slideshow popped up. And so this right here, I want to make sure they can see that. So I've got links. Again, I did this as a button in this case right here. I've got images, I've got videos. And again, you can move this around and organize it any way you want. So it'll look really, really cool. If I wanted to do a new quote unquote post or a new thing for tomorrow for parents to see, I have a couple options. On the left side, you see this thumbnail of my slide right here. I can copy and paste that. If I just edit, copy, paste, whatever, the entire slide at once, and I could come up to the top one and I could say, okay, new stuff. From this week, we're doing different things. Welcome, and we're doing this stuff. And my resource of the link, of the week, I want to change. So maybe if I click on that, I can go down here to the pencil, edit link, and I could change it to a new link for this week. And so I could keep updating that without having to kind of recreate the wheel each time. If I do want just a new slide, I can always go to slide new, and it'll come out as blank. And again, I'll remove this stuff. And the other thing to note, though, if you notice, it goes underneath the slide you're on. So I'd want to drag that up to the top. So that's the top slide that parents see. You may even want to put in a text box here. Let's put this slide over here and actually put in the date. Week of, let's see, today is 3/24/20. So I'm going to put this in the upper right, just so that they would know, parents would know exactly which slide they're on, as they get going here. I can just see the date really easily there. Okay, I'll change this. Let's say this is for next week, and it's not going to be snowy next week. It's going to be spring-ish, hopefully. So I'm going to search for spring here. Let's see if I can find a nice spring picture. Oh, beautiful flowers here. There's a bird. Let's do the bird here. Click on the bird. Replace that one, and notice it's going to overwrite. It's going to replace the picture that was there with the new one. So that's a really easy way of doing that. The other type of images you can insert, not only if I go up to the image, not only searching the web from your Google Drive. If you already have Drive pictures, like you've already uploaded and you saved, whatever, you can insert those directly. You can use, whoops, this is going to look for Drive pictures. I don't really have any in this account, but they'd be here. I just click insert. I can also insert Google Photos. Now, we mentioned last week about using Google Photos to take pictures with either your phone or maybe your laptop, and you could go through your Google Photos and see those right here. If I click Photos here, I should have the one photo we uploaded, which was, yep, there's Baby Yoda. So I can click on Baby Yoda, the picture we took last week of that, insert that image, and again, I can move it around. Maybe I want to replace this photo here with the Baby Yoda photo. And that looks really good. Oops, it's still refreshing here. The other type I can do here is by camera. So if I wanted to take a picture with my laptop directly and just put it right in there, that's an option as well. So the last thing, let's undo that. I'm not sure why that's not coming through, but it's okay. All right. So the last thing, with my slideshow, if I want to make sure that people can see this. So right now, I'm the only one that can see this. I'm the only one that can edit it. I need to share this. Up in the upper right, I'm going to click share. Now, just like, so I'll rename this Mr. Kelly's class. Save that. In RSU 19, we're going to ask you to share all of these ultimately with that same Classroom account. Yesterday, some of you guys shared your Google Classrooms with classroom@rsu19.net, and that's the same thing, and that's thank you very much, and I've accepted. So that's great. But this will allow it if we need to go in and help you. If somebody asks me, hey, how do I, Kern, how do I fix this picture here? I want to look like this, whatever. If we're already shared with that account, that makes it much easier for us to jump in and help you and work with you that way. So that's one thing, is I'm going to click share and share with that Classroom account. The other thing, too, is I need to make sure it's public. We want mom and dad to see these. I don't care necessarily. In this case, we're not actually using it really as a slideshow. The slidable web page or a simple home page. This link right here, if I copy that, that is now the link that I would give to parents. Let me just show you what it's going to look like. So if they see, whoops, let me jump to another window that's not going to interfere right here. So a parent would see something like this one link, and they'd be here, and they could click on the links. They could click videos if you have them. They can read your text. They can also go to yesterday's stuff. So, I went back and see previous stuff. So as they build those resources, it's just a great way to kind of manage that and very easy for them. This can be viewed by a phone, by a tablet, by a laptop, whatever they've got. They can pretty much see this and be able to update it and access it. Again, it's kind of using this as a web page creator, a very simplistic web page creator for very simple things. So this will work, I think, very well for that. Using Google Slides to kind of use it as a simple one page creator. All right, I'm going to stop the sharing for a second. I've got a lot of tabs going on here. Let's see if I can do this. Go back here. Good, excellent. Okay, back to the screen here. Just because I wanted to answer any questions that popped up as they come through the text, and also what we'll do, move on to next, is we'll talk a little bit about Google Sites. Same thing, you can make it as a home page, you can use it, you can add things to. It's just a little bit more complicated. So if you're just starting out, I would start with a single Google slide. Great place to start. A lot of dragging and dropping. That's what I would do. If you're, I can get Google Slides, I'm going to do on something a little more advanced. We'll talk about Google Sites and how that could be your thing. The reason why this is important, what we're doing this for, is Google Classroom is awesome. Some of the younger kids, it's not feasible or developmentally appropriate for them to have to figure out how to log in. If I had a kindergartner, I wouldn't expect them to be able to go use Google Classroom. Also, Google Classroom is kind of a private section. It's meant to be for your class. It's like a virtual representation of your physical class that you had, your classroom. So only the students inside of there can see it and do stuff with it, which is great for older kids. For the younger kids, you most likely will want a public place that mom and dad or guardians can go to see, okay, what is my first grader expected to know or to see or do, and how can they help them? So you might just be providing links or text or anything you can. That's just a really simple place to do that. We're creating a list for the parents that'll have everybody's links already for them. So they don't have to go search for it. It will say Sebastikuk, grade 1, Mrs. Smith's web page. That's it. So once they click on that, they'll have that one web page that they have to know where to go. So they won't have to search for them or have them all. We'll just have a single list of everybody's web page directly go to them, and that'll make it easier for everybody. So let's look through some of the videos here. I'm sorry, some of the comments here. Let me jump back here. So one question came up, says, is there a way for Hangouts to actually see the face of everyone? Yes, it depends on the numbers. If you have, I have right now 41 people in here, it won't show everyone's face. That said, you can click at the same time. That said, you can click on anybody and their face will pop up. What typically happens if people are conversing back and forth, if they start speaking and they unmute themselves, their video will pop up for everybody. So right now, if somebody unmuted themselves, start talking, it would switch back and forth. Unless you've pinned them, unless you've clicked that thumbtack to pin it down so they can't, you won't change your thing. But it will put different people up. I'm not sure the exact number, but a certain number. If I had 3 or 4 people in there, we each would have our own box and we could see each other as we speak. I know I've been up to Hangouts about 10. I'm not exactly sure the number, but they would still show little videos, little almost like Brady Bunch style, little videos of each person of their faces. So you can do that. It's just a difference, that way. Chat, go back. Okay. Can videos be inserted to Google Slides? As I mentioned, yes. 2 ways. Either you have a video from YouTube, copy and paste the link, it's there. Also, or in your Google Drive. If you recorded, for example, Screencastify, and you recorded a video that you want to directly insert to your slide, that's just as easy. When you're done Screencastify, it will save it in your Google Drive. You can go into your Google Slide, click Insert to Google Drive, and it will put it right in there. So yes, pretty straightforward. Yep, somebody answered that as well. Screen has glare. Yes, I know. I'm really working on making be able to, because right now we're live streaming as we are recording for video. So just so you know, if you see this video and I couldn't really see the glare very well, I'm going to take the screen recording that I've done and upload that into the live stream as well. So you'll be able to see a recording of the screen, not just the live stream. So that live stream is live as we're going forward. But if you want to see an older version, that's what we'll be able to do. One question, can I click and insert a form as well in a Google Slide? The answer is yes. You can click the link to it. You can't actually insert embedding a Google form into a slide, but you can say, click here to answer these questions, and that link would go to the Google form and they could answer all kinds of questions. And I think that'd be a really, really great way to maybe do question of the week. What was your favorite lunch this week? And kids could, maybe choose from a couple different ones or answer something, or just give that interaction component to it. Or maybe you're asking things like, what's your favorite color? And have the kids all answer it. And then next week say, we had, 15 kids, and 7 of them like color, like blue, and 3 of them like red, and whatever, and show a graph of what the class looked like. I mean, that would be kind of fun stuff as a way to interact with them, asking questions that you can talk about. So I think that'd be a great idea. If you have a Google form, have the link to the live version of the Google form, the read-only version, and just paste that in there so kids could click on. Oh yeah, so if you have questions, so I'm not looking at the chat live specifically as I'm covering something, but if you have questions, if you go to the either steampoweredlearning.org, or if you're outside the district, or rsu19.info, if you scroll down, and it will ask you for questions and comments, and you can put something in there. If I don't get to it today, we're coming up to about 10:40, so if I don't cover it today, I'll cover it tomorrow. I'll do my best to kind of backtrack and cover everything I can. Good question. Should we wait for you to create the website and put that in our slideshow? No, if you want to start working on either a slide or Google Sites, which we'll cover next, you can absolutely start doing that, and we'll just create the link to it. All that's going to happen is we'll have an organization page that will say, here are the schools. So if I'm a parent looking for my child's teacher, here are the schools, here's the grade levels, here's the teacher. So I'd say, like, okay, middle school, 5th through 8th grade, Mr. Kelly, click on that, and that would go to his, my web page. So if you already started or want to start, absolutely do that, no problem. All right, looks like we answered quite a few of the questions. I'm going to jump over back again, and this time we're going to do Google Sites a little bit. Let me get that set up, if you would. All right, so let me just check with the chat room. You should be seeing my screen right now. Is that correct? I just want to make sure that because it looks like you should be presenting my screen, so that's what you should be showing. If you're on the live stream, you're still seeing me because I have 2 cameras going, and that's what the glare comes from. But like I said, once I post this, I will go back and add the recorded video so that ultimately it will basically look the same. I know right now it's a little bit weird looking at a video camera, but the issue is we're doing kind of 2 things. We're live streaming it publicly, and we're also internally recording it. So we got a bunch of stuff going on. All right, what I'd like to look at is Google Sites. Now, again, if you're starting out, you want to have your own homepage, start with slides. I highly recommend start there. If you're ready to move on to something a little bit more advanced, a good example of that is somebody asked about a Google form. Like, I want to ask a questionnaire. In a Google slide, you can put the link to the form. And so the kids would click on that and they pull it up and answer it. In a Google site, you actually can embed the form if you want. So it's a little bit more complicated, but it gives you more features. So to start, just as always, I'm on google.com. I'm going to click on the little waffle here in the upper right. I'm going to scroll down. If you don't see it in this top section, you probably will. Sites is right there. But if you don't see Sites right here, if you keep scrolling down, there's other things as well. So you'll keep looking through. So I click on Sites. There are 2 versions of Google Sites right now. They still have the quote-unquote old version, which is what the first one will come up. But if you look over here on the left side, it says New Google Sites. That's the one you want, New Google Sites. And without getting too much into it, the reason why they've switched, why they have 2 versions, why they're doing that, the biggest distinction there is the new Google Sites will adjust itself depending on what the user is looking at it. For example, if you have a parent looking at your site with a phone or an iPad or a laptop or whatever it is, it will adjust to match, because as you can imagine, more and more people are using their phones to look at your sites. So before, with the old version of site, the issue was you could have things overlapping each other and it wouldn't be perfect. Now with the new version, it will kind of adjust to match if it's a mobile device or a tablet or whatever it is. So I'm going to click right here to create my new site. I'm going to click the little plus. All right, so here's my site. I'm going to skip the tour because I'm going to go over it, but this would give you a little tour if this is your first time. My page title, I'm going to be Mr. Kelly's Class. Now, the trade-off here, because it adjusts automatically for mobile, is it won't let you do certain things. So for example, you notice here, so here's my box. I can adjust this to make it a little bit wider if I want. But I can't do anything I want to. It's not an open-ended, I can just drag stuff around. Unlike the slides. Slides, I can kind of drag stuff around, and it's called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. This is a little bit different. Again, it's a little more advanced, but you are going to kind of be kind of based on what they'll offer you. And the reason why is it needs to be able to adjust for mobile as it needs. Like it won't let things slide on top of each other. So here's my title right up here. I can change the size of it, that kind of stuff if I want to. I can make it bold. Oops, let me select the text here. Bold if I want to, all that kind of thing. So let's start with the look of this. Right now, this is pretty bland. I've got just kind of like a dark blue site back here. I'm going to go over to themes in the upper right here. And again, this is the trade-off. The good thing about Google Sites is it's template driven. The bad thing about Google Sites is it's template driven. That means it's really hard to make a Google site not look like a Google site. At this point, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. I mean, as you go forward, there are little tricks you can do. But I'm on the simple theme right now, and I could change the colors if I want to, the background colors, or I could change to a totally different style. Here's one. I like this one here. Impression is kind of cool. Vision. Again, you can just click through these. At any point, when you click on these, it doesn't affect the actual text. It just affects kind of the colors, the skin of it, if you will. I can even do a custom color. I'll try to look for like a burgundy, like our district's color here. Let's see if that works. That's pretty good. One other thing too is you only have 3 choices for font styles. Now, again, you can embed things which have any font you want, but the main one, I've got bold, modern, and classic. I'll do modern here, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, there's my theme. Now, in the upper left here, untitled site, I can't actually call it right now, Mr. Kelly's class. And the reason why, it's got a period in it, it's got some spaces, it's got some apostrophe up here. So I can just call it Kelly homepage. All right, you'll notice right here, this came up here. We could add a logo if we want to get really fancy with it. I'm not going to worry about that right now. But if you wanted to have your own little image in the upper left, we could do that just as part of the design. So we've got this box down here, and here's our insert, what options we have. So I can insert a text box. So I'm going to start with that and click on text box, and I could type in a text box just like it sounds like. So welcome to my home page. And here are my options. I can change the size of it a little bit. I can change it a little bit thicker. I can center it. I can bold it or not. Just like the text here, I can bold. And that's pretty much it. I don't have full, this isn't like a Google Doc or like a Google Slide where I can just do anything I want here. You can push things together. They'll give you a little grid here. So I could have, let's say, 2 text boxes side by side. I'll insert another one here. And I can drag them around. So I could drag this up beside here. Weeks. I'll see, do work for the week. So I could have 2 text boxes kind of side by side. The reason for that, again, is so that things won't mess up when you actually view it from a different device. So if a laptop views it or a tablet or whatever, they won't kind of bump into each other. They'll adjust accordingly. I can change the colors, the section background if I want. And again, we can get fancier and fancier with this. Like I gave it a little bit of a gray in the background. I can also copy it, and I can also delete it. When I want to add a new item here underneath there, I can drag on the left side. You see these little dots. It's like I don't know, half dozen or a dozen little dots here. And that's going to be my grid to move these things around up or down to slide them next to each other. So we added a text box. Let's insert an image. So I will select an image. I'm not sure where I've got available in my, let's do photos. Let's see if Baby Yoda will come through this time. So I'm going to go to I search for an image. I could upload, or I could do a Google image search right here. We were talking for snowman. So let's do a snowman right here. I'll do a different one this time. We did that one last time. This one looks pretty good. So there's an image right there. It gives me a little bit of tools. Like I can crop it if I want to a little bit as far as like zooming in. I can't really angle it or that kind of thing. I can just kind of zoom in or zoom out. Do I want to make it a link? So right here, I can make this image be a link to somewhere else. So I could copy and paste a link in there. And now they click on that picture, it would go somewhere else. Actually, about that, one kind of handy thing you may want is, let's say I insert another image. I'll select one. and I'll do a Google image search for a button. So like an actual, not like a sewing button, but like a computer button. So if I wanted a button on here, like I click on this button, this image, and it goes to something else, that's kind of handy. So I could drag this up here. And so I might say, click here to, open the week's video to watch, or the thing to read, or whatever it is. And then finally here, if I want to search my own images, I'm going to go to Photos in this case. And again, I mentioned I have Yoda here, so let's click on Baby Yoda. We'll insert Baby Yoda. I'm going to put him right up here and resize him just a little bit. Okay, so I've inserted 3 photos here. Cool. Going down around the horn here, so text box, images, Drive. Google Drive, if I want to insert a document that I've created, so I've got class rules right here. That was a document, a Google Doc that I created. I'm going to insert that into my site. So here it is. Okay, right in the middle there. Again, I can resize it. But understand this. Your page, your home page can be public. Anybody can see that. The documents inside of them, this document right here, if I wanted the world to be able to see that, I have to make sure that's public. I have to go in and click share and make it available to everybody. Because otherwise, this will be kind of a gray box and say, hey, you don't have access to it. It will look like it's fine from my perspective because I do have access to it. My account created this document, so I can see it. So if I look at it, it's like, oh, that's perfectly fine. But when somebody else goes to it, they'll say, oh, I can't see it. So you have to make sure in your Google Drive. So if I went to my Google Drive, if I went to that document right here, so let's say this is the class rules document. Cool. I just want to make sure I click share, advanced, and instead of specific people can access it, I'm going to change that so that anyone public on the web, anybody can see it. Now, I don't want to allow them to edit it. I want them to just be able to see it. If I don't do this part, if I don't make it public, then when somebody else goes to look at it, it will be like a box that says, oh, you read only, you can't see it. What's going on? You can also, what my recommendation would be is in your Google Drive, I would create a new folder called website or homepage or something like that. You can make the folder itself be public, and anything you create inside of there, let's say I create my class rules document inside that folder, it's going to be by default public because it's inside that public folder. So I might call it public home page folder. So here it is. And if I drag those class rules into my public homepage folder, so here's the public homepage folder, here's my class rules. I'm going to make this entire folder. I click the little pull down, share, advanced, and I'm going to make everything inside of that folder be able to be public. So now I don't really have to do it each time for each document. I can just drag those things in here so that they can be public. Now when I go back to my home page, there it is, still there. That looks great. One other thing here, in my Google Drive, as I mentioned, if I want to add a document, cool. If I wanted to add a form, I don't think I have a Google form in this account. I don't. But if I have a Google form, I could click on that and embed that right there. Or whatever I want. Anything in my Google Drive, I can embed it right inside of there. There is also this embed tag. If you have information from another website, let's say it's an embed code from something else. Like, for example, you could do this with YouTube. You could actually take an embed code and copy and paste in here. This will allow you to paste it right in here, and they can see it. Let's scroll down a little bit. And if you notice here, this has all kinds of options. An image carousel if I want many pictures, dividers, buttons, YouTube's right there. A Google Calendar. So if you have a public calendar you want parents to be able to just look at without being able to edit it, but just see it, I can embed a calendar right there. Maps, docs, slides, sheets, charts, all kinds of cool stuff all through here. I'll wrap it up because, again, we're coming up to the time, and I really want to be mindful as we're going virtual with our time limits as far as, I know other people have meetings at 11. So the last thing I'll share here, 2 more quick things. One is pages. If I want to add a new page, it will just go to pages, click right here. So this one's going to be a new page. This is going to be fun activity. So this is a fun activity page, and click done. Here it is. And you notice that it automatically put a link up at the top for fun activities. So as you add pages, they'll just be linked to the top. And here's your home page you were initially on. So I can add, just like before, I can insert, different things. Let's say I want to insert, we'll insert an image here. Actually, I'll just list of cool websites. All right, so I'll just leave it at that for now. Add all kinds of stuff in here. All right, so now we're going to talk about publishing. I'm going to click publish in the upper right here. What are we going to call this? Now, in our case, it's going to be sites.google.com/rsu19.net/ my case, Kelly homepage. So you can manage that, and you can change this to what do you want the address to be. Just note that once you've changed it, once you've added it, it's really hard to, or almost impossible to undo that. So just make sure it's what you want it to be. Manage. Who can view my site? Right now, only people in RSU19 can view it. We want to make sure we change that to anyone, so the public, so mom and dad who doesn't have an RSU19.net account can see your site. And then click publish. This is what it's going to look like. If I click preview, and I can see this is what it looks like on a laptop. Let me go back to the home page so we have some stuff to actually look at. So this is what it looks like on the home page. Cool. I can see what it looks like on a tablet. And if you notice here, it will adjust and change. So it kind of resizes. And then I can see what would it look like on a phone. And so it will automatically resize for you. Notice how I put the, on a phone, I put the images kind of on top of each other. And that's fine. It will do that for you so you don't have to really worry about what the layout looks like. Okay. I have now published that. If I wanted to share this so 2 teachers could help me out, I could share this with somebody else. I could click this little plus up here, share that with another teacher, just like you would a doc or anything else. And then if I was going to send the link, if I click the little pull down here, view publish site, this is my link up at the top here in the address bar that I could copy and paste and share that with anybody so they could go to my web page. All right. We are wrapping up very quickly. I want to make sure if I had any new questions come up. Oh, yep, someone's mic is on. Let me just mute them for them. Yep. All right. Let's see if I got anybody else. Somebody asked about tomorrow's session going with Google Voice. Yes, I was initially planning on doing that today. It got pushed back because right now, what the expectation can be of teachers at some point, I wanted to have this video recorded and ready to go. So when the teacher needs to do a homepage, they already have a recording they can go watch and kind of access. Somebody asked about, can you copy paste a section of a Google Doc into a text box? Simple formatting. Yes and no. So you can copy and paste the text. One option is if you embed that Google Doc with that formatting, with the, let's say you want a fancy font or size or whatever, that means it's almost like a window. So you have your Google site, and you have a window into that Google Doc kind of behind it. As you make changes on the Google Doc, they will automatically appear on the site. So sometimes it's easier to type things on a Google Doc and make adjustments, and it'll automatically appear on the site without having to go back into the site and copy and pasting editing it that way. So if you have let's say a daily message that you want to update, every day or once every couple of days, I would probably embed a Google Doc and just type it on there, and it will automatically update. Okay, so final links for Google Meets, and then we'll wrap this up for the day. If you go to your Google Calendar and it will say video conferencing, they will give you a link. It'll say join Hangout or join Meet, and they'll give you like a weird link right there. You can copy that and paste that into your classroom so the kids can click on that and join. So the last thing I'll share today, we're going to wrap it up for today. I really appreciate everybody being here. This was shared by, and I'm not sure who, I didn't know who started, but it was kind of an email link that went around. I put this in the show notes, but there was a Rotterdam Philharmonic Orchestra did a live concert on YouTube where they all were in their own houses, all playing together, and then the staff's been sharing a video of that. So if you get a chance, that's a great watch. It's kind of a fun way of seeing how people are dealing with this around the world. So thank you guys all very much. Like I said, we'll post the notes and answer questions for tomorrow, and I will see you all tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Take care.